of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Southborough Housing Opportunity Partnership Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Southborough's website at www.southboroughtown.com. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting or participate may do so in the following manner: www.southboroughtown.com/remote meetings. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on Southborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive recording of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Done. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for attending today. We have a new member. On September 22nd, the Board of Selectmen appointed Chelsea Malinowski to be the representative for the Board of Selectmen. And Lisa Braccio has been assigned to a different committee. So welcome, Chelsea. We're very excited to have you. If everybody wants to introduce themselves, just so Chelsea, you can say hi and then we can get going. How's that? Anybody want to say hello?
Hi, Chelsea. I'm John.
Hi, Chelsea. I'm Tom.
Hey, Chelsea. I'm Tom as well. Alex is silent again.
Alex, you're muted.
More people wish I was more muted. Alex Frisch, and I'm with the Housing Authority.
Okay.
Hey, Chelsea. Jesse Stein. I live around the corner. We walk our dog by your house all the time.
Okay.
I'm Sarah. I work for the planning department.
Great. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for welcoming me to SHOPC. I'm excited to get a different perspective and hopefully contribute to your committee. So thanks for having me.
Yay. Well, we're very excited. Okay, first thing on the agenda, I'd like to switch things around a little bit. Could we get the minutes approved? Does everybody pull up the minutes? Chelsea, I'm sorry, I sent those to you this morning. I wasn't sure that you had them or not. I wasn't sure if they had been sent to you. I didn't ask Sarah to send those. I didn't think about them. So that's my fault.
That's okay.
Did everybody take a look at the minutes and read through? Do you have any changes, corrections, anything?
I don't remember seeing them, to be honest.
Did everybody get minutes?
I
Did
didn't
not
look,
send
and I haven't
minutes?
Yes,
found them.
Kate sent them out.
I didn't get them because
Yeah,
I
I
looked
don't think I got 'em either.
today again.
Neither
Let me
did
just
I.
search my email again.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now myself.
I did it last night and this morning, and I still couldn't find them.
It was from Kate, though.
Kate Battles on 8.
Is it Kate Battles?
Yep.
Kathleen Battles? No.
Yeah, I don't have them. That might have been when there was a problem with the emails going out, so that might have been when they were having problems for some people getting them out.
I'd like to make a motion, given that none of us have them, that we wait till the next meeting to review and approve them.
Yep, that's fine. We will do that.
Can you send them again, Sarah, please?
I can resend them, absolutely.
You do it at the end of the meeting then, if everybody can get a chance to read them.
Sure.
They're not that long. All right, we'll just hold off on that, see if everybody can get them. And if not, we'll just hold it off. It's not a big deal. Okay. So as we've all discussed, we have a potential roadblock to getting any of this housing plans that we'd like to try to get together or do for people who need some help. We have a major roadblock. So in order for us to fund anything at all, we have to go to CPC. We have to submit a request. We have to do a presentation to them. We have to get approved by them. They have to write a warrant article. The warrant article has to go to town meeting, has to be approved by town meeting. our hands are tied. If something came available tomorrow or today that was perfect for us, we would never have an opportunity to do it. So somehow we need to figure out a way to be able to get those funds readily available to us. So I was wondering what you guys thought about this idea. I was thinking that maybe we should ask for a joint meeting with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which is actually the Board of Selectmen. Get a joint meeting together with them and get their thoughts on trying to pull together a warrant article by the Board of Selectmen about releasing those funds. We still may have to go to CPC, but I'm really not sure because they're in charge of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Does anybody have any knowledge about how that would work? Lisa is not here and I'm new on that board, so I actually don't know how it works yet. We haven't had a meeting.
Yeah, so I was on CPC for a year, and you basically, a proponent has to prepare a presentation and fill out some paperwork and submit it in order to apply for the funding. And this is just for the project to get approved by the CPC so that it can appear on a warrant at town meeting.
Right.
So it's fairly arduous, but it's doable technically.
It's doable, but if anything became available, we will miss every single opportunity. The only way to do that is if the money is already in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund so that we actually have immediate access to put a deposit down or something. So I'm wondering if there is a way for us to meet with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund and have them or us make a request. I don't know if the Board of Selectmen can do warrant articles. So is it possible to kind of go around CPC to get the money converted and
Yes.
transferred?
Yes.
Or
To
do
an
we
automatic
have to go
transfer.
through the CPC? If we have to go through CPC, then we need to put together a presentation and B, we need to go through their process and get that money, that bucket of money put into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, because our hands are tied and we can't do anything. We can't do a single thing to do anything to help anyone.
And
We have
the
money.
CPC, I mean, in their defense, they're tied by the Community Preservation Act. It's a
Yep.
state law.
Oh, that I know. No, I understand. But is there a way, because the Affordable Housing Trust Fund would hold those funds and the Board of Selectmen can write warrant articles. So could they ask the town, present a warrant article to have those funds transfer? I'm not sure how that works. So I was wondering if anybody knew, because I've been trying to figure this out. John?
I've got a bunch of letters and cases from different towns on opinions from town councils on how they do it. I didn't get these until yesterday. I forwarded off Bill Ricca's warrant draft on how they do it. Bill Ricca, the town of Bill Ricca, all the CPC housing funds goes directly into their housing trust fund. So I sent it off late yesterday, unfortunately, because Robbie Anderson was supposed to be able to come today and wasn't able to. And to talk a little bit more of it, because he's the community director for the town of Billerica. But Billerica, all their funds, their CPC funds for housing goes directly in. There's already precedents in a bunch of other towns, and I have the different letters from the town council saying how they, that it was allowed under the CPC guidelines. So I think it was, I don't know if it's a Southborough bylaw for the CPC funds, if it's the state thing, but we could look into that. And I can go through all these letters and take out what I think is pertinent for us and send that off. But other towns are doing that because their hands were tied, same as ours. And what's nice about it too is I looked into it, and let's say like the town of Billerica, out of I have their warrant article here, they get $90,000 a year of CPC funds put into their housing thing, and it's just on their annual thing. The preferred fund, they get $90,000 a year put right into their housing fund, and then they can bond it if they need to too on different articles, which is nice. So if they say they come across $1 million building and they've only got, a few $100,000, and they can use that as their down payment, and then they can bond the rest with that, which is kind of interesting. I think could lead to some interesting opportunities for us. Because you're right, it's awful when you find all of a sudden somebody's having a short sale or there's a piece of property going that oh, this would be great, but we would never have the time to do anything.
No, I mean, we have the house in Stockwell Lane, the 16B that's going to be going on the market. At
Why
some
isn't it
point
on the market
in
yet?
very
Right
near
now,
future.
Yeah.
fighting over houses. Like if you noticed on Southborough real estate, everything's going for more than asking price. So I wish that would get on. I mean, COVID's been a selling hotspot right now. So is that why we haven't put it up yet?
Well, I think there's just been a delay. You have to deal with the real estate agent. There's state laws. I think that the DHCD has to come in and evaluate. There's a bunch of other steps. It's not just like a simple throw the house on the market.
But
And then
this has
COVID
been over
hit.
2 years.
Yeah, but they had to do a bunch of work on the house. They had to fix the stone wall. There were a bunch of things that had to be corrected. The town had to take care of all of that. It was going to go on the market. I think there was some kind of a delay. I know Lisa's been on top of it. I'm not really worried about it. Our hands are kind of tied anyway. So it's not going to give us enough money to really work with, even if it goes for 200,000. With the trust fund has, I think, $94,000 in it right now. So there's $94,000. I guess we could do something with that, but there's nothing out there for us right now anyway. So Chelsea, you're going to be taking over that house sale, correct?
I'm going to work on that house sale and then take over after that one's done. But I will be involved with this house sale, so I'm going forward.
Okay, so that money will go into the trust fund account. So that money will become available. Again, there's like $1 million in the CPC. It's never been touched. They just put the money in, the money in, the money in. How many years have we had CPC? There's a bucket there sitting with housing money.
How much?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, John. But
How much money a year goes into the CPC for housing?
It depends on the state match.
On average, is it somewhere between 50 and 100? Is it less than 50? I mean, everything's substantial. Anything is.
I would be guessing because I don't really remember, and we haven't had a CPC meeting in, I think, 7 or 8 months at this point because we don't have enough members. I want to say like 300 goes in every year.
Wow. Because Billerica, the whole town gets.
No.
That's too high.
The town of Billerica gets $673,000 a year.
I don't know. I don't know the number.
90,000 goes into housing, which is substantial. You can get 3 years worth. There's a house.
The state matches it. I think they end up with, you know what? I don't really remember the numbers, so I shouldn't throw them out there, but we have a substantial
I'm
amount.
curious, is all that money in CPC, I mean, it's not only dedicated to housing, right? I assume it's dedicated to other purposes, historical preservation and other community.
There's 4 buckets.
Oh, there's 4 buckets. Oh, gotcha.
Every year,
housing
gets money added to from the state.
I see. So there is a bucket specifically for housing, which is our sort of more or less our bucket. Yeah,
There's
gotcha.
a bucket for historic.
Thanks.
There's a bucket for like recreation, open space type of stuff. And then there's a general fund. I think that's where the administrative costs and stuff come out of. Jesse, you might be able to correct me on that, but I believe that's what the setup is. So every year the money comes out, it gets divided and it goes into buckets.
4 buckets,
Housing's
right.
never been touched. It's just sitting there. I think they've transferred a little bit to the trust fund, but I don't think a lot. Most of the money's still sitting there. That's why we need to do something with it. Chelsea?
So is the reason why we haven't been able to do anything with it is because the timing with how you need to allocate the funds at town meeting hasn't allowed, like the timing just hasn't worked out. And by the time we would get it through town meeting, it's off the market. Is that kind of the crux of the issue? Okay, so I mean, I think there's value in meeting together with the trust fund to see if we can figure out a better process so that if something does become available, then we can use the funds. So I'm in favor of that.
I think we need to meet with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund group, which, by the way, is the BOS. That's who runs it. So would everybody, if we to reach out to Marty and see if we could work out a meeting, would that be all right with you guys?
Sounds
Yes.
good.
And we could probably reference some of the things the other towns are doing, like John did, to have this automatic warrant every year to move the funds from the CPC into the trust fund. I think that should be our goal. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think our goal is to somehow have an automatic mechanism to move those funds into the trust fund. Is that what our goal is, to meet with the select? Well, in this case, the trust fund.
Yes, no, that's what I believe we should do. I think that's an extremely important step, because otherwise we're going to spin our wheels like Shopsy's done for a very long time, and we just can't do anything. By the time something becomes available, our hands are so tied because we don't have the bank account. We have to go to the trust fund to ask for the money. So John, would you mind forwarding all that information to Sarah for me?
Absolutely.
And Sarah, you can disperse it to the group.
Sounds good.
I don't want to break open meeting law by having either John or I send the stuff out. So if it goes through Sarah, she disperses it. Just don't make comments. Just take it for information, and we can discuss it at the next meeting.
What I'll do, Sarah, is I'll scan just the pertinent pages, because it's a whole warrant. It's a 24-page warrant, a 41-page warrant. So I'll scan just the pertinent pages, and then I'll forward off the letters from the different town councils on different things for CPC funds.
I'll put it all together and then send it out to everyone. I did resend the meeting minutes. I didn't find an email from myself, so it looks like I was the one who failed to send them out this time. So I do apologize for that, because I did get them from Kate.
Oh,
She's
you've been
very
hanging out with my
gracious.
wife too much.
I
That's
thought
right.
that came from Kate, everybody.
No, they come from Kate to us and then to everyone. So
Your email came in just now.
great.
Okay, guys, I just made the biggest mistake of all, and I did this the last time. We're supposed to elect officers right off the bat, and I was so busy trying to get the work done that I didn't do that. Can we do that before I forget it about doing that for this meeting as well? Because that's what I did the last time. I'm really sorry. Would anyone like to be the chair?
Yeah, you.
Me.
I nominate Dorian
I'm so
Giselle
sorry.
to remain as chair.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, any discussion? No, okay, all those in favor, we'll have to do a roll call. Okay, I'm gonna go by my screen. John Wood,
John Wood, aye.
Chelsea?
Aye.
Tom B,
Aye.
Tom M,
Aye.
Alex, you're muted. Alex, you're muted again.
Aye.
Okay, Jesse,
Okay, yes.
and I'm gonna abstain. Thanks, guys, thanks a lot.
Do we want to
Okay.
put a vice chair person? Do we
I'm
need
sorry,
a chair?
I didn't hear you.
I'm sorry. Didn't we also have a vice
Chair?
chairman?
Yes, we have to have a vice
John
chair.
Wood? So I'll nominate John Wood to continue in that post.
Okay, do I have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, all those in favor, John Wood.
I'll abstain.
Okay, Chelsea? Tom B,
Aye.
Tom M,
Aye.
Alex,
Aye.
Jesse,
Yes.
and Dorian, yes. Okay,
Do we have anything I can
you're
nominate
done.
Tom for?
I'm sorry.
Do we have anything we can nominate Tom Marcolia to? Continue for, I think he needs to stay on master plan, and then maybe we can make up a committee to research stuff, something, anything to make his life miserable.
Tom, when is your position on the master plan up? That's not up yet.
No, July of 21.
Yeah, so.
Well, I was only kidding, but that's awesome.
we don't
I'm
have to
hoping
worry
it'll
about
be done by then. Done.
Okay, so you know what we should do? What we should discuss is CPC. So we do
Yes.
have a representative on CPC, which has been me. Would anybody like to go on to the CPC committee? No. Okay, then someone has to renominate me. Let's vote on that and get that out of the way.
All right, then I'll nominate you again, just because I think it should
Okay.
be the chair.
Thanks a lot.
Should do it.
I'll second that.
Okay. All right, so we have to do a roll call vote again. John?
John Wood, aye. If you don't mind. I just think
Okay,
consistency.
Chelsea?
Aye.
No, I don't mind, but we have to have a representative, so I don't mind doing it, and we haven't had any meetings, so it's really easy. All right, so Chelsea said aye. Tom B?
Aye.
Okay, Tom M,
Aye.
Alex,
Aye.
Jesse,
Aye.
and I'm going to abstain. I think those are the only committees that we have representatives on. John?
Does the Board of Selectmen have a person as well, a representative on the CPC? No?
No, no. So there's someone from Recreation, which there's nobody. There's someone from Historic, which there's nobody. There's someone from Shopsy, which has been me and will continue to be me. Then there's someone from, I think Andrew Mills is representing zoning?
Planning.
I'm not sure. Okay. Zoning and maybe planning, and there's like one member at large. I'm not really sure how it's made up, but we're short either 2 or 3 members at this point, so they can't meet right now. So
We've appointed 2 historical members in the last 2 meetings, so they have some more members now, and we also
okay,
need a new
so we
recreation.
should get a historical member to get onto CPC at some point.
Yes.
Everybody's frozen on my screen.
Right, this looks my face like when I do this. It's like
Everybody's
the
frozen
best
on my
impression
screen.
I ever had.
There
I
we
guess
go.
I'm glad I got it. It is working. Like for moving up the rest, but we just need to get that to work.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so
That works. If it was, I would give it.
Joanne?
something.
Oh, the screen just moved. Dorian,
Doreen, your microphone is on.
what just happened? The whole thing went down.
I don't know. Everything just jumbled around.
Must have been
Yeah,
Sue.
it froze and then it went down. Okay. We want our meeting to get over with. Okay, all right, we've done officers and committees. Okay, we're gonna do the trust fund. All right, so Sarah, can we reach out to Marty Healy with the BOS and try to set up, see what works best for them? Probably at one of the Board of Selectmen meetings is probably easiest for them.
Yeah, sounds good. I will do that.
Meeting with us, and discuss how to make these funds available to us. So if you wouldn't
Sure.
mind reaching out to them on our behalf.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, the housing bill 3507, which became the housing bill 4887, which is very thick. Sarah, do you want to talk about how that's going to affect the town for us? Because that's 183 pages. I don't think we can discuss it.
Sure. I mean, I think the fundamentals and, you know, the question that we had kind of at the end of last meeting was, you know, will this legislation, if it goes through, lower the threshold to a simple majority for all zoning changes? But it won't. It will only, you know, reduce that threshold to a simple majority at town meeting for changes to specific housing related initiatives. So it is very clear, you know, the way that they write it here, that, you know, it's a push to try to make sure that more smaller affordable housing, transit oriented housing is being constructed in these towns. And what's good, I think, you know, in terms of a safeguard, is that it does explicitly state that if there is another warrant article that would require a supermajority vote, that it can't be lumped into a housing initiative for the town to try to kind of skirt that getting that supermajority. So, you know, there's a lot more, obviously. Dorian said there's 100 and some odd pages, but I think that was the big question at the end of last meeting. So hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to kind of look through it. And, you know, if there's any other questions, hopefully I can answer them.
Dorian, can I chime in with 2 cents on that quickly?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my internet today. I don't know if it's mine, but everybody keeps freezing and it keeps getting jarbled, so.
Oh, no.
So just to benefit everybody, I know this thing is thick. It's 183 pages, but it's just to give you context, it's an appropriations bill. So most of it is unrelated to what we're talking about. So really the only thing that matters for this housing choice initiative, and people feel like going back and reading it, is section 18. And so that's only like 4 or 5 pages. That's the only, those are the only 5 pages that matter in this whole big thick thing. The rest of it is just appropriations, authorizing funding for DHCD. So it's not 183 pages on this subject that we're talking about.
A lot of nice fluff in it.
Yeah.
Bought my vote.
Well, I was hoping we would have the opportunity to have that presentation with the woman who wrote this and another woman, selecting from another town from Easton, and how it was going to affect their town and possibly our town. And when COVID hit, we lost that opportunity, and the House voted on this in the middle of COVID, and passed it and added a bunch of other stuff to that bill, because that bill was not 183 pages. So that's all additional stuff. That's just crazy, but okay. So
When did they vote it
how
through?
it's going to impact us.
When is the actual vote? Because I know it's gone through the House, but it hasn't gone through the Senate yet, correct?
Yeah, I
No,
don't know
it
where
has.
that is. Do you know?
I thought
Sarah?
it did.
I tried to find, right now, I couldn't find anything on specifically when the vote was taken. It hasn't been recorded yet as being finalized and passed when I last checked mass.gov.
Okay.
I thought Governor Baker approved it. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was a done deal.
It is a done deal?
I thought so too, because there was a lot of appropriations in that bill. I mean, as we know.
Right. Again, this wasn't just this bill. This is a zoning article buried in an appropriations bill. So the appropriations bill had to pass.
I thought it passed too, but last
I hope
Sarah
so. I mean-
told it was still hadn't gone through the Senate yet. So I don't know.
We have zero control over it, no matter how.
Exactly. We
But
can't do anything
as
about
I
it.
said last time, I think it's good for us because it makes it easier for us to get changes to our bylaws to help further our mission, which is creating more housing.
Okay. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions or comments on that subject? All right, let's go to our HPP that we finally got done. Is it in print yet, Sarah? Have we heard from Courtney about
It is in print and it will be delivered tomorrow, bound by Saddle Stitch. And then, I can reach out to everyone if, you want to stop by and pick it up at the townhouse, or maybe I could drop it in your mailbox or, at your door. But just let me know. They should be in tomorrow.
Nice. Now, it's square back saddle stitch or just a regular saddle stitch?
Aren't the doors
Regular
locked?
saddle stitch, I think.
And is that a good stitch, John?
It's okay.
Is that a good bind?
It's not bad.
Okay.
It was between that and the spiral bound for what.
Oh,
was
then
Oh, we don't like no
included.
spiral
So,
bound.
Spiral and fall apart. Nope.
It looks like it was going to be good.
Sarah, how do you get in?
You have to get in by
You throw a
special key
rock at the
card.
window.
Yep. Yeah. And actually, usually we're not in on Fridays, but since the printer is going to be, anticipated drop off, I'm going to come in and wait for them to get dropped off tomorrow. So.
If everybody wants, Sarah, I can pick them up from you and I can just drop them off to everybody.
Sure. On Monday would be good if you wanted to pick them up on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I was hoping tomorrow to meet the printer and grab the book.
Or give them a buffer,
Is that okay with everybody? I'll pick them up and drop them off to your houses.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That
Thank
we
you.
have them. I want you to have them right away, and then so
If
we're
you
gonna leave
need
one at the
help.
library. One's gonna go to the library. We're gonna give the BOS is each gonna have a copy, including Mark. So that's 6 copies there, right? The library.
So 15 copies were included in the cost of the RFP. So that's what we're getting in terms of copies for right now. And then we can make additional copies.
Okay, well, we had up to 50 because she asked me if we wanted 50 and I said, no, we don't need 50. Why don't you give us 25?
Yeah, so Karina and I reviewed the, the actual proposal and it was 15.
Well, then we don't even have enough copies.
So we can make
The
it,
library and the BOS at 7. And then we have us.
I can just look at the electronic
that's
copy.
4. So it's
Is there-
14 if
Is there an
everybody,
electronic copy?
there is an electronic copy.
I prefer looking at that too.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't need a hard copy. I don't, you know.
Okay.
I only lose hard copies.
That's good for the printer.
Okay, well,
Right?
we'll figure it out. So Alex and Tom, you don't want hard copies?
If there's
No,
a
I'm fine.
shortage, I would rather do with the electronic anyways.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I
I could do
could not.
electronic also.
Me too.
I'll file it and I will know where to find it.
Well, it's always going to be on the website anyway. So
And we'll always have a copy here in the office.
Well, Chelsea will get one with the Board of Selectmen anyway, so,
yes.
Yes. So,
So
okay.
where are we going to leave hard copies around town, like the senior center, the library, town hall?
senior
that-
center, the library, we'll have one here at the,
Yeah.
in
Cool.
the department.
Yeah, so there should be enough of them.
Yep.
We're gonna have to do this again in, what, 5 years?
That's right.
4 years, 9 months.
4 years, 9
And
months.
all the boards and committees did receive the final, so,
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, can we send that out to everybody electronically?
yeah,
Everybody
I'm
has it. You are on top of everything. Thank you, Sarah.
try to be.
Okay, so our next big task, we've got the HPP done. It's printed, it's coming. We'll have it next week. Okay, guys, how are we gonna implement that plan and try to get some accomplishments done here via for housing? How
I
are we?
think one of the things to implement is what we just discussed initially was somehow having a mechanism to move CPC funds.
That's the first thing, but then there's a bunch of other stuff. Hang on, let me pull it up. Where was that page? This is not the copy I marked it in. Okay, here we go.
Where's my copy?
I gotta find the page. There's no page numbers on this. Oh, page 53. Page 54. Okay.
I can't find my silly thing here.
Okay, so it's saying here that we need to, there's no way we can do this. But they want us to have 71 more units of affordable housing in town.
To reach that 20% threshold, right?
It's a 10%. So we're supposed to be adding 17 to 18 units a year. Our town is really small. We don't have a lot of land. I don't see that we're going to be able to do that. I think that's physically impossible. We'll do the best we can. Park Central, as you know, is going to have 180 units if that ever gets out of court and that happens. We don't even know if that'll happen. That'll take care of us for years. I guess the biggest thing we have to do first is get the money, and then we can try to come up with a strategy. I mean, I don't know where else to go because our hands are so tied.
Well, one of the strategies in there that always appealed to me, and it seems to be somewhat low-hanging fruit, is to go through our zoning bylaws and go back and revisit some of the obstacles that we identified during the development of the HPP as obstacles to the potential development of housing. I know there were restrictions on over 55 or senior housing. You know, we identified a handful of things that I think our plan from that point was to go back through and try to get zoning changes to eliminate those obstacles. So I mean, that's not something that results in immediate housing, but it is something that, is within the scope of our mission and is part of the strategy. I think we should think about, about doing that.
Are those zoning bylaws available to us, Tom, online? Can we get into those online to take a look at those?
Yeah, and I would volunteer to take the lead on just going through those and identifying, I know we talked about some of them, and our consultants helped us identify some of the issues that they saw. If you'd like me to just comb through it, I'm a lawyer, so I look at a lot of zoning bylaws. I can just look through and maybe come back to the board with, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 items that we might talk about, might be worthwhile taking the initiative to try to get change in the zoning process. And then, sorry, go ahead, John.
I say something about a zoning thing coming up in October with the Board of Selectmen and Planning. Dorian?
Yeah, October 6th, isn't it?
Yeah, October 6th, the downtown, it's just a downtown piece for mixed use. The Board of Selectmen are having a joint meeting with planning, and I know they're going to be inviting all the other committees for input for, as Marty calls it, a whiteboard. What people want, what people don't want, what they don't want to see on the 6th. So I don't know if you guys want to be in the audience.
October 6th, John? Sorry,
was October 6th, Board of Selectmen's meeting, correct.
That might be a good meeting to attend.
Yeah.
I believe that the chair was going to invite Shopsy as one of the stakeholders.
Yeah.
All right, so why don't we all, Sarah, why don't we post a meeting for October 6th? And if everybody can attend that meeting, I would appreciate it. I will at least attend it and take notes.
That's a Zoom meeting, John, I take it? They're not doing physical meetings yet, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I hate these Zoom meetings. I like being with people.
I like the Zoom meeting. I like that they're all recorded. I like that on YouTube you can hit transcript and you can get everything in writing, even if you have pauses and ums and ahs. It's kind of embarrassing. I realize how unarticulate I am.
People.
Also, speaking of recording, Kate Battles is not with us this morning. She is getting her son off to school, but she said she will watch all of the recordings and get the minutes out to us of this meeting. So
she is the best.
She is the best.
I do love that woman.
I do too.
Okay, Tom, if you wouldn't mind taking the initiative and taking a look through those zoning bylaws and then coming back to us, if you're able to do it by the next meeting, we'll set that at the end of this meeting today.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. And maybe
if you have time, we can take it off the agenda, but at least we can put
let's make it aspirational. I'll try to get it all done before the next meeting. And if I get to the next meeting and say, I'm sorry, I'm not quite there, we can always just kick it to the next. But then
and Tom,
if I do that and want to do some kind of helpful summary to the board, what's the mechanism? Do I send it to Sarah and then she sends it to the board? Okay, is that the way to do it? Okay.
Yep. Send it to Sarah and she'll include that in our packet for a discussion. Nobody respond back to Tom at all. Just everything goes through Sarah and Sarah disperses it. That way we don't break open meeting law. I'm a stickler on open meeting law. So yes, that would be great. Tom, if you wouldn't mind, I appreciate that. That's perfect. Okay, so I guess the first step is for the implementing anything is first get our money and then we can work on strategies. I have a question. Do you guys think it's a good idea to maybe have, it's probably a really loaded question, like a couple of builders, 1 builder, 2 builder, 3 builders, just come in and talk to us about what they go through for a process with affordable housing. Like if they do a development, they have to allot X number of units. It might be an opportunity for us to kind of get to know some of these guys a little bit, what they have to go through, and maybe kind of build a little rapport with them, because we're going to need some help at some point by somebody if we get land or if we need to renovate or whatever. I mean, is that a good idea or is that a bad idea?
Are you
Dorian,
talking specifically 40B?
What would be 40B? Yeah. Jesse?
Yeah, well, you might remember Fayetteville Hall a couple of years ago. Jack had gone to great lengths to present a project that had affordable units. And ultimately, the Board of Selectmen at the time shot it down after planning and Shopsy were on board with it. Why that was, I don't recall, but I think that they felt like Jack wanted too much money or was offering too low of a price for the initial acquisition. So if you can convince, I mean, I've asked Jack Bartolini to participate in those kind of meetings before, and hasn't shown a lot of interest. I think he still has kind of a bitter taste in his mouth from the experience, but it's always worth another shot. And if I see him, I'll certainly bring this to his attention that you'd be interested in
And can we get like Brendan Properties, and those are also local. Brendan's a Southborough guy.
Yeah, I was thinking the local guys, the guys who actually live here, and just sit down and have a very frank discussion with us. Like, what are their hurdles? What have they experienced? I mean, what is it that they have to do to get a 40B through? Like, I just think, and I might be totally wrong in this, should we be reaching out to the builders and just kind of developing a rapport with them? Listen, we're trying to do this. At least they would understand that, and maybe they can help us along the way, or they come across something and it might be something they would want to do. I just don't know what the protocol is. That's why I'm asking you guys what you think.
Well, my response to that is every situation is different. Every developer is different. So I mean, I can relay my experiences with these developers on a case-by-case basis, but the general message you're going to get is that the town has had too high of an expectation of them, or made it cost prohibitive or process prohibitive. And I do agree with John to some extent that where this is all going back to is reevaluating zoning in the downtown area. Yeah. So I'll be participating in that August 6th meeting with bells on. But as far as like bringing developers in, I'm not so sure. I'd be surprised if any of them were amenable to that. But generally, I think you're just going to hear like the town's just been brutal to deal with from their perspective.
But what might be nice too, is I've had conversations on both sides, because on my other role on EDC, I go out and meet with the different developers and builders. And then I've spoken with Sarah and Karina afterwards, and I get their perspective on it. It would be great for me personally to have people from planning on the same screen as the developers, because you're going to get a he said, she said. What's funny is a lot of stuff that they were saying, there was a delay in this and that. And I talked to Sarah and she's like, well, because they gave me the wrong forms. They didn't submit this. So it's not, for me, it would be nice to have both sides in the same, because you guys could counter it live. It's not a he said, she said. It's actual, well, okay, you're right, I didn't do that. Well, you're right. We could change this bylaw to make that, we don't need a night knocker or blah, blah, blah. That kind of stuff. I think
that's my view as well. I mean, I think at the end of the day, affordable housing in Southborough is not going to be constructed by Shopsy. We have to help create the environment where developers are going to come in and be incentivized to develop housing. So part of that is what we talked about, relaxing the zoning bylaws so that the developers don't see obstacles to doing affordable housing projects, housing projects that have an affordability component in Southborough. And I think it would be useful to meet with the developers and say, hey, what is it that would help incentivize you all to choose to do housing instead of retail, or to have some kind of affordable housing component? And that might help us in our charge to try to amend the zoning bylaws to make them more amenable to developers being incentivized to do that. So I think it'd be helpful to get there instead. I mean, if Bill DePietri, Brennan Properties comes in here and says, yeah, I do a deal in Southborough, but there's a cap on, on limits. So I can't do kind of a senior housing project that's affordable for Southborough that they want because your bylaw says X. And so I'm going to go to Upton and do my project there. So it might be useful to get their perspective on what they would want to see to be incentivized to do housing here.
Okay, so do you think that it might be a good idea, and this might be a very heated meeting, maybe bring ZBA, planning, builders, and all of us together to try to figure out a way to work together to get something done? Is that something you think?
Well, so just my 2 cents, Dorian, because ZBA and planning are not going to be involved in amending zoning bylaws. We're going to be the people that are going to be the people who are going to be on the front lines of that or taking the initiative on that. Okay. Now, I tend to think that it should just be us, but
for the first one, yes. Then we can see where it goes from there.
That's why I'm throwing it out there, because I'm not an expert in any of this stuff, and that's why you guys are wonderful, because you all are. All right, so I guess we need to figure out a date, and we need to reach out to a few builders. So Jesse, would you mind? Oh, Sam's
raising his hand. Yeah.
Sarah, I'm sorry, before I say something, can you I'm sorry, Sam.
Sure. No, let me call on him.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty.
Sorry, I just saw.
Nope, that's okay. I just saw it too. Sam?
Yes, could you hear me?
Alrighty. Yes, we can.
Morning,
hey
Sam.
guys, sorry I'm joining late. I've only been here about 5 minutes listening to this. Let me throw in 2 thoughts, if I can, please. One is the poster boy for me is Bob Moss and Madison Place, given the comments about difficulty of working in Southborough. He got that done in about 6 months, soup to nuts.
He was terrific too. He's a terrific developer.
Yeah, the way he did it, he showed up on day one with all the plans, his engineers, his lawyers, had a complete set ready to build had we approved it. We didn't. And then he went back. He cycled about 3 times on that, but every time the board said you need to do X, he did it. He came back with a complete set and went through that in relatively lightning speed. So I think it can be done if you've got the resources and the attitude and focus to be able to keep moving quickly. And most people don't, I guess, in my experience. Second, the kind of thing that I've been thinking about is to sweeten the pot for a developer. And the town actually has a modest amount of property in various places around town, some of it less desirable in terms of, interior, non-buildable kind of space and whatever. On the other hand, if one could find a way to get a parcel that is a good candidate for a 40B development and find and work a trade, whoever owns it will trade something else for it. So he's got a really good deal on the property. There are third-party groups who actually make a career out of developing 40B nonprofit kind of groups out there who do that. So if you found a way to trade some property and put a deal together for somebody who knows how to build and work with one of these other groups, it seems to me there's an interesting potential there to sort of for the town or Shopsy, for example, to create a deal with some incentives in there, and maybe it's just raw land you're throwing into the pot, to get somebody who is skilled at this and who can keep the process moving. And then I think you're exactly right. There are issues we need to deal with relative to zoning and so forth. But I think those are easier for us to do versus finding somebody who actually has motivation and some financial interest in getting a deal done here. So I think that, again, my points are A, it can be done quickly and effectively under the right circumstances. B, if the town can find a way to find a good location, I'd rather us find a location that we think works and try to put a deal together versus having somebody come in with a piece of property they own that may be not great from the town's standpoint. It seems to me that could open up some possibilities. So again, I don't have any specific proposal, but I think that's a way that one might look at it to be able to at least start the process moving.
Well, just last meeting, we talked about the South Union School building, and that was Jason Malinowski. Is that some relation to Chelsea Malinowski?
Possibly.
I'm an outsider. I don't know who's who in town. But, that's a perfect project. That's something that, could we incentivize a developer to come in and take over that project and turn that into housing? That's a great specific housing.
Yep.
And I know I keep beating the drum about 40R, but
Yep.
that's a perfect site for a 40R. If we zone that site as 40R, that'd be a great incentive for a developer to come in and develop that project and would get incentive bonuses for the town as part of that as well.
Yep.
Would
It
we
has an
make that-
elevator already.
And would that be better off as apartments, as rental units instead of condos? Because don't 100% of rentals count towards 40?
Yeah, 100% of rentals.
Yeah.
The issue, Tom, that's a great idea. I've been looking at something like a mini Madison Place because we need about 100 units to get over the 2020 census hurdle with the 10% 40B requirement.
We need 71 units.
Yeah, but we need a little cushion though, I think there too. I'd like to be able to get 2030 as well in it here. But again, I think, it's great to pick up, half dozen units or whatever here and there. But if we could find something that got us 100 or 80 or 70 or whatever, I think that'd be a great thing because there's a heavy fixed cost. If you're going to do it, there's a lot of effort. So let's get the whole 100 or whatever we need. So anyway, I don't want to deflect you here, but I think there's some interesting possibilities there that if we can put a deal together and make it easy for a developer to say, hey, this could work, versus having them come up with something based on sort of what they own at this particular point in time or what they're motivated to do. I think that increases our chances. So I think it's a great project though to try to put together for many reasons.
Thank you, Mr. Stiver. Okay. Anybody else?
Just the one thought I was going to ask about that school project. The one thing that occurs to me that to keep in the back of our minds, although it might be a different topic, is the closer it is to public transportation, the more practical that sort of thing is for people who need help.
Absolutely.
Anybody else on the South Union? Yeah, I know we had discussed it the last meeting, so we will just keep that in our back of our minds. That's definitely a possibility, and it has an elevator already. It would make a great place for apartments. With the historic nature of the building, I think we had asked the question whether we could do an addition to that. It's what, on 3 acres of land? So can you add to a historic building like that? I think you can. I know you can gut the outside, but can you add something? As long as you leave the main structure?
I might be able to contribute to that. At least I have a lot of experience with historic district commissions. I'll admit things a little different with historic property, but generally, as long as it's architecturally compatible with the period of the property, it's been my experience commissions are very agreeable to that.
Okay. All right, well, again, we can't do anything anyway. We have no money, so I don't want to spin our wheels.
Well, we've got a few good things already. Like
No, we've got some
3
great
points right
stuff.
now bite off, don't tackle too much. We've got 3 specific tasks that we can easily obtain doing, finding out with Tom doing the bylaws, looking into the 40R and that piece of property potentially, and the money. So that's a lot of work to take on initially.
And you're going to get Sarah all that information so she can get it distributed to us, right, about the warrant article?
Yep, absolutely. I've got an old email that has everything in it. I just don't want to send you too much because there's a lot of stuff you don't need. So once I get, my scanner's not working here. I'll get to my office and scan what.
Sounds good.
Okay. Did everybody have an opportunity to take a look at those minutes quickly or not?
I did. She does an amazing job, by the way.
I know
She does.
She really does an amazing job.
She's the best.
I've been very fortunate in a lot of the committees I've been on. We've always had great minute takers. Sam was amazing. Sam's a stenographer. And John Lyons.
I think her format is really perfect.
Kate does that. They just do an amazing job. And it's makes it a lot easier for everybody.
Yeah.
All right, so Alex hasn't had an opportunity. So why don't we hold off on those minutes until our next meeting?
I'm calling him up now, but I'd rather not rush through it.
No. Let's just wait. There's no sense in rushing it. I'd rather have you take a hard look at it, Alex, and it's not that important. It's okay. We can wait till the next meeting. Speaking of which, we need to set a next meeting. So if everybody can put up their calendars, please. So Do you want to meet the 15th or the 22nd? Oh, we have them.
We had talked about the
Yeah.
22nd.
I have the
Okay.
22nd in my calendar.
All right,
Yeah.
so,
Mine too.
all right, I already have it there too. I didn't realize we had said it. Okay, the next BOS meeting, Sarah, do you know when that is?
October 6th.
October 6th.
Yep, it's gonna be the one.
Right, so there's, okay, October, so we need to all go to the October 6th meeting. Okay,
What time was that again, John? Was that 6 o'clock you said?
I don't know what time it's on the
Do you know,
agenda.
Chelsea?
Start at 6:30, but I'm not sure if he's going to give you an actual appointment time, but the earliest is 6:30.
Okay.
That's the meeting on the 6th we're talking about now?
yes,
Yes.
and that would be a joint meeting.
Mhm.
Well, we're gonna ask if we can. All right, so hold on. So that October 6th meeting is the one where we're a stakeholder. That's not, I wanted to do a joint meeting with them to talk about the Affordable Housing Trust, the money and transferring. So we need a separate meeting for that.
Right.
That discussion.
Yes.
This discussion isn't gonna work.
Yes.
So October 6th is the joint one where we're a stakeholder with the BOS. So if everybody could please go to that one, that would be great. What we need, Sarah, is a separate meeting where it's just us with the Board of Selectmen to, as the representatives for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and discuss how we can get the money appropriated yearly,
Okay.
having you ask for it every year and missing all of the possible opportunities.
So, Dorian, just out of curiosity, have you mentioned that to your colleagues on CPC?
I actually had asked them at one point, and we would have to have them, we would have to go through the process. We can't just get it. We'd have to have a warrant article created to transfer it over. So I think the trust fund, there's another trust fund. There's a trust fund where, and it wasn't affordable housing, it was something else. And they had actually transferred money, but they had never actually asked for the money. Like, it's kind of sitting in limbo. And I'm not sure which trust fund that was going to. I don't remember, because that's when I first joined. That was like the first meeting. I'll have to check with Andrew Mills, but we need a warrant article that makes a permanent transfer, an annual transfer. That's what we need. We don't have it. So I can ask Andrew. I'll send him an email today and ask him specifically where the money,
Yeah.
how much is.
I'm
in
just thinking if you have support from CPC, that'll make it a lot easier, I think, for the BOS to move forward with that.
Yeah, I mean, I know I can call Freddie and ask her like detailed stuff, but Andrew's the chair, so I'll reach out to Andrew today. But we haven't had a meeting since January. We haven't had a meeting in a very long time because we don't have enough members. But yes, I will reach out to him. Why don't we reach out, Sarah, why don't we reach out to the Board of Selectmen and see when it's convenient for them to add us to their calendar, and then maybe give us a few dates, and then we'll see where our board can all be there, as many of us as possible, for a discussion.
Sounds good.
Instead of just giving them one date, I'd like to have a choice, if that's okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I can coordinate that with you and we'll get it out to everyone.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I think that's all I have for today. Does anybody else have any questions or any other discussions on our topics today? No? Okay, then I guess I'll make the motion that we.
Sorry, just in preparation for October 6th, I would like us, and I'm sorry to like jump into this at the end of this meeting, but it might be a good idea if we have a consensus prior to that meeting of a specific thing we would like to see in zoning changed that would facilitate affordable housing? I think we should, before the end of this meeting, if we can take 5 minutes and come to a consensus on that, we'll be in better shape. Is that asking too much?
Now, is that just for the downtown area though? Because that's what the discussion.
Well, that's what the meeting on October 6th is about. So, like, for example, do we want to create a new district, John? Maybe you should talk a little bit about what EDC wants to do and then see where we fit in.
I'm not exactly sure what EDC wants to do right now. The selectmen had taken over the initiative down there because they're the one sponsoring the bill. So initially, Chairman and Phil Jenks and Andrew asked us to do something with zoning downtown because they agreed that they needed it, but they didn't want to deal with it. And they had too much work on, blah, blah, blah. We had came back and tried to do an edit, just change a couple, allow this and stuff. And that didn't work out. And I believe it was Miss Luttrell that wanted to have an overlay. So we started looking into an overlay. And now we hired a woman named Judy Barrett, who is a professional planner, to look into it. And I think at last point, she wasn't sure if an overlay district was the way to go, whether it was a rewrite, a rewrite, rezone, or the overlay. So I believe she's going to figure out the best way to do that and let us know. And this is just this meeting on the whiteboard meeting on the 6th is really to find out what people want, what people don't want, meaning planning and other scales and things like that. So I don't want to get too much into it because I'm not exactly sure what it's transpired into until after this meeting. So
I mean,
sorry, I'm not much help.
No, that is helpful. So it sounds like where we want to end up is a zone where developers are permitted to create structures that they're not allowed to necessarily in other parts of town. In exchange for that concession, we're hoping that we get some sort of affordable housing requirement for certain building types.
Yes.
Sorry to state the obvious, but I haven't heard us really get too deep into this yet. And I just want to, does anybody have a consensus of something a little bit more concrete than that?
Jesse, can I chime in in this? Because I definitely have ideas in my mind as to what I think would be great for that to create housing. And I know I'm the 40R guy. I keep going back to 40R, but let me just prime everyone for 10 seconds on what the benefits of 40R are. So 40R is this, it's an overlay district. It's an incentive overlay district. And if they adopt that, then, and there's a housing component to it, then the town gets zoning incentive bonuses from the state. So literally if there's up to 20 units in this, that the state gives the town $10,000 for just zoning the property for 40R. It's not just for housing, but if there's a housing component to it, they get a bonus. And then for each unit that's actually constructed, DHCD, the state, gives the town $3,000 for every unit that's actually created. So they get a zoning incentive of $10,000 just for adopting zoning. And then for each unit that's actually built, they give the town $3,000. And then they also, there's always a concern about, new families coming in and creating a burden on the educational system. Again, 40R, there's like a companion statute, 40S, that basically, without getting into the weeds, reimburses the town for the incremental costs, educational costs associated with those new units. So there's a ton of bonbons for the town if they adopt if they overlay this area as a 40R. So if the downtown district ends up doing the rest of the project, all they have to do is have a housing component for us to get these benefits. And that's, in my mind, good for everybody. It's an incentive for the for us to incentivize a developer to create housing. And if they do create housing, we get more.
So Tom, how do we, what part of the 40R option adds to the DHCD inventory?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Is there like what I guess what I'm asking is there an inherent like deed restriction on any of the units?
Well, let me be clear. This is not an affordable housing bill. 40R is not focused on affordable housing. It's on the creation of housing. So, so if they did 40R, one, from our standpoint, it would encourage the downtown developers to have a housing component and not just, retail and small office and bars because we want housing as well to increase the housing stock. But then I think that's where we as shops would come in and say, not only do we want a housing component, but let's set this up so that, a certain number, however we want to do it, a certain number of the housing units that are creative, have to be affordable. And that's a matter of how we structure that. So it incentivizes a developer to actually include affordable housing in their development.
Right. Okay.
Would that be a building like a storefront on the lower level and apartments on the top?
That's what they have in mind. I think that's what they have in mind. I mean, I'm sure that's what they'll present on the 6th as to what ideas they have. They want to make a cool downtown area with more bars and restaurants, but with exactly that. They're talking about 2 and 3 levels to allow zoning to go vertical a little bit without it becoming massive, where we can have affordable housing component. And then that road that goes behind Morrow's, there's room for development back there as well. So,
and you could put an apartment building back there then, right? Even if it was like 2 or 3 floors, I don't know how much space is
I think there's room for that. And again, I don't know all the weeds for what they're talking about, but that's what those are the types of things that I think are going to be presented at the joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen on the 6th. So we'll all get a better idea as to where the current thought process is on that. And it's just up to us to chime in and say, okay, let's have a housing component to that. And here's some ideas, and this is what we'd like to see as a stakeholder.
So Tom, 40R would be, it's like so if they were going to build an apartment building, it would be regular priced apartment buildings with maybe 2 units of affordable.
And to be clear, this is not 40B. 40B mandates a certain percentage. So this 40R does not have that mandatory affordability component to it. So if they did a 40R as an overlay, it would then be up to us to encourage them for when they draft the zoning to create that, to create an affordability component to it.
Is that legal, Tom? Can a town do a 40R district, but then add our own like rider for affordable housing?
Well, I mean, we can't mandate it, but we can, just like any other zoning, we create the zoning to make it more favorable to developers to do it. So, other towns, they give density bonus incentives so they can have more units than they would otherwise have if, under the zoning, if, a portion of them were affordable, they could get more units, or, if they had a few units that are affordable, they could get more height, or that's the way zoning bylaws incentivize developers to do affordable housing. Mm-hmm. But you're right, we can't mandate, you can only do affordable housing on this. You can only give them incentives.
But
I don't think we need to work out the weeds on that today, but just in general concept when we go to the.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you.
But we could mandate if it's 6 apartments, we can mandate one of them has to be affordable.
Yeah, I'm not 1,000% sure we can mandate it, but we can certainly build in incentives to the zoning, to give developers incentives to make, some units affordable.
And that might be a good use of the funds for the affordable, obviously we don't have an awesome track record of identifying and acquiring properties. So it might make sense to allocate some of that funding to like subsidizing along the lines of what's been talked about in terms of sweetening the pot for developers. I'm not exactly sure how that would look or to what extent amount wise, but it might be just an easier way to utilize the resource than trying to acquire.
Well, it's something to think about at least.
Something to think about.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
All right, thanks, Jesse.
so
Thanks, Jeff.
October 6th, we have, who would like to present that idea when we're asked? Jesse or Tom?
Oh, I nominate Mr. Bizicle.
Okay. Tom, is that okay? So on October 6th, when they ask what our
Sure,
state.
I'll be happy to chime in. Yeah, sure.
On our October 22nd agenda, should we just have the implementing planning as well as potential language, just those two pieces? Because that might take up a fair amount of time if everybody looks into it, tries to figure out how we want to write a warrant article.
Well, we wouldn't write it. The Board of Selectmen would. I guess we could help, but yeah, we can do that, John, but we have to talk to the Board of Selectmen first. So we do need a date. We need to talk to them first. So we can put that on the agenda, but until we've spoken with them.
Gotcha.
And just one idea is that once we find out more on the 6th as to what they're doing, we can come back on the 22nd and say, if here's what they're doing now, how can we respond to, what that is? We might be in a better position to have that discussion on the 22nd.
And then we'll have 2 seconds minutes.
I'm sorry, I meant for the warrant article language for trying to get the money put into the trust fund, not for zoning.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I meant more just for the housing trust fund to get the CPC funds.
Well, that's what we're having the joint meeting with them for. That's not the October 6th meeting. We need to
That's
talk to the Board of
Gotcha.
Selectmen about
Okay.
that first before we can add it to the agenda for the 22nd, but until we meet with them, it's futile.
Moot.
We really won't have any more information than what we have right now. So
Okay.
we have 2 sets of minutes. So, all right, so we're set on the 22nd. We're set on October 6th. If everyone could please join the Board of Selectmen because we're stakeholders. And we will work on a meeting with the Board of Selectmen and hopefully have 2 different meetings that we'll see the majority of us can make. Anything else to add? This is the longest meeting we've ever had. Well, almost. Okay. Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
No,
You
I
move.
second.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor, a roll call. John,
Aye.
Chelsea, Tom,
Aye.
Alex,
Aye.
Jesse,
Aye.
Marianne, aye. Okay, guys, thank you so much, Chelsea. Once again, I hope we didn't scare you, but welcome aboard. We're very happy to have you. And there's Sue now. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you. And I will see you guys on October the 6th.
You
Thanks,
call it a
Alex.
long
Chelsea.
meeting. Chelsea's
Thank you for your time, everybody.
Been 2 in
Take
1.
care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
You made it.
I did. Oh my God. All right, I'm gonna stop recording.
All right. And then you just end the meeting for all, and then you'll be all set.
Why is
So
it-
where do you do that?
Down in the
In the
right
leave?
hand corner.
Where
So
it says-
leave the meeting, and then you should have end meeting for all because you're the, or maybe I have it now because I'm the host.
Oh,
and you're
because I made you
co-host.
that. Oh, yeah,
Let
because
me
I
put
can't
you
stop
back.
recording.
Let me put you-
Okay. Oh, yeah, now I can stop recording. Yep. Okay, and the YouTube
That'll just stop on its
stop
own.
automatically. Okay, and then I just do leave.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
See ya, you're welcome.